Hello everyone, my name is Ariston, and in this video we're going to build a fully functioning recipe sharing website using Django, Tailwind CSS, and Flowbyte. But before we start coding, let me show you the demo of the website that we're going to build in this video. So this is the home page, or this is the sign up page of the website. So as you can see here, we have signed up to our platform and we can also register our users. So for example, after they register, they already have an account, John Doe, and we're going to put in John Doe's password and we're going to log in. So the website will greet us that we are logged in, and then in this homepage we can see all of the recipes that are shared by the users of this website. So for example, we have the first one, which is guacamole, and if you click on a certain recipe, it would push you into this recipe details page. You can see here the detail of this recipe. The name is guacamole, cooking time is 2 hours, and it can serve 4 people. And you have also the description page and then the ingredient tab. As you can see here, all the ingredients that is needed for this recipe is listed, along with its quantity, also the metric and the name of each ingredient. And the owner of this recipe can also update and delete all of these ingredients. We also have an instructions tab wherein it will show us the step number and instructions. Again, the users can update, or the creator can update and delete the instructions, and then it would also display the profile of the creator of this recipe and also the actions tab. The actions tab will show add ingredients button and add instructions, and if we click on them, it will show us how to add a specific ingredient. Let's go back, and then in this add instruction, it would show us how to add each of these instructions. So if you go back to the home page, and we will see here, if you are the owner of this recipe, you can edit and delete this, and below that we can see here the related recipes. So for example, we have a related recipe which is caprese skewers. This recipe is also in the category same as this one. So for example, we click this recipe here, it will also show us the description, ingredients, instruction, and profile. So as you can see, we are not the creator of this recipe. Therefore, we will not be able to update or delete this recipe, and it will only show us the instructions, ingredients, descriptions, and details right here. So if you go back to the home page, you can also see here that we have all of our categories of each of the recipes that we have. So for example, appetizers and snacks, it will show you the guacamole and caprese that we saw earlier. Say for example, for the main dishes, we also have 2 here. And we can also do is search for a specific recipe. So for example, we're searching for Greek salad or salad as a whole. Let's type salad and then click the search button. It will show you here 2 different types of salad that is shared in this website. You can also create a recipe. It would ask you for the category of the recipe that you are going to create, the name of the recipe, the image, and then the description, cooking time, and serving time. And you can also see the dashboard. So the dashboard would show you all of the recipe that you shared. So for example, John Doe shared all of this recipe here. And all of the users are able to see their profile and then update their profile. They can also change their passwords here. So that would be all for the demo of this website. So if you enjoyed this website demo and you want to create your own recipe sharing app using Django, Tailwind CSS, and Flowbyte, follow along and let's now start building. Alright, welcome back. So in this section, we're going to set up our development environment. The first thing that we're going to check is if you have Python installed on your local machine. So to do that, just type Python -- and then version. So if it displays a message that Python was not found, meaning you don't have Python installed on your local machine, we can go to our browser and just go to Python download, search for Python download, and the first link that you can see here, which is download Python, we're going to download Python in the official website. So as you can see here, we can download the latest version of Python for Windows. So if you're using a different operating system like Mac or Linux, this would be a little bit different on your end, but you will see here that you can download the latest version of Python. So for now, this is 3.12.2. So if you're watching this could be a different version, but don't worry, just download the latest version of Python, and all of the code that we're going to do in this video will work on your end as well. So I'm going to download Python, and then let's just wait for it. So after we download Python, we're just going to open the installer and then click this add Python to path and then install now and just wait for it to be installed. After it was successfully installed, just close this out and then let's try the command again. Let's first close out this terminal and just open a new one. Then let's type again the command python -- version. So you will now see that we have Python installed, Python 3.12.2. Okay, so after we installed Python, we can now go to our IDE or Integrated Development Environment. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code for this video, and if you can use your own IDE, but I highly suggest if you want to follow along with this tutorial, you should download Visual Studio Code as well so that you can use the extensions that Visual Studio Code allows us to use. So for this project, just open a folder in anywhere in your machine, and then when you are done creating that folder, just drag that folder into your VS Code so that it would open that folder up. So here, what we can do is open the terminal. So as you can see here, there's a terminal, and then you have new terminal. You can also use the shortcut key here. So it would open this terminal that we have in here. And after that, I'm just going to zoom in for a bit so that you can see it better. So in this new folder, what we can do is we can install pip env. So using pip, we'll install pip env. So pip env allows us to be able to create virtual environments for our projects so that the dependencies of each project would not fight with other dependencies for other projects. So we will create a virtual environment for each of our projects. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to create our virtual environment. So let us say pip env shell. So we are now creating the virtual environment for this project. So after that, we will now see here that we have this pip file here. After that, we're going to install Django inside of this virtual environment. So let's type pip-env install Django. Okay, after we install Django, we can now start to use the Django-admin. It would show us all of the commands that we can use, but the first command that we will use is to start our project. So what we can do here is just clear our terminal, and then what we're going to do is Django-admin start project, and then our project name. So let's say Django recipe. So as you can see, we have this Django recipe that we have here. So what I want to do oftentimes is remove this other folder. So for example, let's just delete that app that we created, or the project that we created. What we're going to do is Django admin start project, Django recipe, or the name of our project, and just add a dot at the end so that it would not create another project or another folder, and it would only create all of the other files inside of the main folder right here. And then going to do now is we're going to try and run our server. So python manage.py run server. So we have a warning here, so just don't mind it for now. Let us start our development server here. You can see in this URL, just click that URL and it will take you to your browser, and it will show you this landing page that we have here. So it says to us that we are now successful in setting up our Django environment, or our development environment. So we can now close that, and then just clear our terminal. And then what we're going to do is we're going to migrate. So what you're doing when you are migrating is you are creating all of the boiler models that comes from Django itself. So that would be python manage.py and then migrate. So it would run all of these migrations. So this would be all of the default models that comes from or comes with Django. So let me just clear my screen or the terminal. And then as you can see here in this DB SQLite, here this would be the database that we have. So to be able to view this database, what we're going to do is go to the extensions and just type SQLite viewer. So this extension here, SQLite viewer from Florian Klamfer. I hope I pronounced that right, but you get the idea. Just install this. And what this extension allows us to do is to be able to view the contents of our SQLite database. So as you can see here, all of the models are created. So these are the default models that comes with Django, and we will be able to explore more of that. So in this section, we have now successfully set up our Django application. And then in the next sections, we're going to create our first app. So in this section of the video, we are now going to talk about Django apps. So as a metaphor, when we use our phone, we have different apps that handle different kinds of functionalities in our phone. So let's say, for example, we have the Messenger app. The Messenger app would only focus on functionalities such as sending and receiving messages from our contacts. And then we also have the File Manager app. So this app would only focus on functionalities such as creating files, moving files, deleting files, and also kind of having the file structure of our phone. And then we also have the Alarms app. So this app would have functionalities such as it allows the user to set an alarm, have a stopwatch, and also have a timer. So all of the functionalities that kind of resembles the alarm. So this is also true for Django apps. What we're doing in Django apps is we're separating each of the functionalities into separate apps, and each app would only focus on a certain functionality of our website. So in our Django recipe app, what we're going to do is create 3 apps. The first app would be the core app. It would handle the authentication of our website. It would allow users to be able to sign in and register. And then the second app would be the app that would handle all about our recipe, how we can create recipe, how we can update, and also add instructions and ingredients to our recipe. The third app would be the app that would handle the user's profile information. It would allow the users to be able to update their profile and also change their password. So to create an app in Django, the code that we're going to use, so it is also written here, just going to clear my screen and write that again, python manage.py, start app, and then the app name. So for example, the app name would be core. So if we run this, we're going to see here it created another folder called core. So now this folder would have these files, the admin.py, apps.py, models.py, tests and views, and we also have another migration folder inside of it. So we're going to talk about this in the future. So for now, after you create a file, just go to the settings.py of your main file and then register in the installed apps, register the app that you created. In our case, that would be the core app. So after we register this, we can now close this and let's go back to our core app. So in our core app, we're going to create a folder called templates. And inside this templates folder, we're going to add another folder which have the same name as our app, which is the core. So in this core folder, it would include all of the HTML files that we have that belong to this core app. So after that, we're going to create the base.html. Now, whenever you visit a website, you often see the navigation bar in all of the other pages. Even if you move to a different page, you still have the navigation bar. So what we can do is create a single navigation bar, and then we're going to extend the contents of this navigation bar to the other pages so that we won't create another portion of our HTML code which would display the navigation bar for all of the pages. We can only create a file for the navigation bar and then extend its contents to the other pages as well. So in this base.html, we're going to create the boiler template for HTML, and then what we can do first is we can add here the links to the flow byte, which would allow us to use its different library of components that uses Tailwind CSS. So let's go to our to our flow byte page and then open the docs page. So in the docs page, we're going to get first the CDN. It's like using Bootstrap, but for now we're going to use flow byte. So we're going to use the CDN. Just going to copy this link, and then we're going to paste it at the head of our base.html. And then we're going to go back and copy the JavaScript for flow byte, and then we're going to paste this inside of the body element, just like this one. And then we said earlier that we're going to create here the navigation bar, so we can use the component navigation bar that flow byte allows us to use. So let's search nav, and then you can see here the nav bar, and then just click that, and we're going to search here for a navigation bar that we like. So they have here different styles of navigation bar. So the one thing that I really like is the one that have the profile picture of the user or the registered user of our application, and it also allows it to have a drop down here that we can update in the future and add here the different buttons that we wanted. So I'm just going to copy this code. For now, this would be for users who are authenticated already. So we're not going to use this for now because we don't have that functionality yet to be able to log in. So what we're going to do is going to go up and then try to find here a normal looking one that would allow us to be able to create a navigation bar for unauthenticated users first. So this default navbar looks awesome. So I'm going to copy this and then go back to our body here. Just going to paste the navigation bar that we copied earlier. Then let's format this. We don't have configured format now, so I'm just going to copy this one and then just indent it, just like this one. And then, so you can see here, we have multiple links that we have here. So this about, services, pricing, we don't need it for now. The only thing that we're going to need is a page for sign in and or the register page and the sign in page. So let's for this one, let's say register, and then for this one we're going to say log in. So that would be it for now. And then we're going to change the name or the title that we have here from flow byte. Let's change it to flavor finder, or the name that you want for this recipe app. So we're not going to change anything for now. What we're going to do is we're going to add here a block that would handle that would display the contents of the page that you extended using this base.html. So to do that, we're going to use the curly brackets and then add here the percentage signs, and then block. The variable that we're going to use is content, and then we're going to end this block. Oops. We're going to use the percentage sign, and then we're going to end this block. We're going to see this in action in the future, but for now, let's add that to our page. And then on the top of our page, we're going to add here the title. So as you can see here, the document title, we want this title to be able to update depending on which page that we are currently in. So what we're going to do is add here the name of our website, which is Flavor Finder, and then we're going to add here a block that would handle the title for each page. So we're going to add here the percentage sign, and then I'm going to say block. The variable we'll be using as title, and then we're going to end this block. So inside of this one, we'll add here the end block. Okay, that looks good. So we're going to see this in action later. So after we created our base.html, we're going to create our first page, and that would be the home page. So this would be the landing page of our website. So to do this, we're going to create another file here. It should be home.html. And then this home.html, we don't need to add the boiler template because that is already added in this base.html, and we're going to extend this. We will only add here the content. So whatever you want to add here will be added to the content, and then we don't have to add this body and head tag right here because this is already added in the base, and we're going to extend this on the home. So to extend this, we're going to use the curly brackets again and add here extends, and then the path of the base file, that would be core/base.html. So as you can see here, the core folder and then base.html. So after that, we're going to add here the title. So that would be block title, and then add here the title, and we're going to end this block. Go and block. After this one, we're going to add the block content. So as you can see here, we have the block content. We're going to add it in the home.html. Then inside of this block content would be the content that you want to display on your home.html. And then we're going to create the home.html on the next part. So in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to do the steps that I forgot when we are setting up our development environment. So first thing we're going to do is we go to the extensions tab, and then in this extensions tab, let us search for Python. So after the output shows us this Python here, the first one that is created by Microsoft, let us install that extension. So let's just wait for a second, and then after it's installed, what we're going to do is go back to this Explorer here and then open our terminal. So as you can see here, we have here the circle with an X. Just click that to open the terminal, or just tab it here, which is in default would be problems, and let's go to terminal. And we also have the shortcut, which is control and then the tick. So we can also use that to open this immediately using the shortcut. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to choose the interpreter. So to do that, we're going to type pipenv, and then we're going to print the path that we have for our virtual environment using this code here, --vnv, and then it would output to us the path for our virtual environment. So that just remember this, and then we're going to open our command palette by going to View, Command Palette, and then we're going to select the interpreter we have here. Then we're going to select the path that is similar to this one, just this one. So we're going to choose that as our interpreter. So after that, we can now continue with building our website. So we're going to add the contents for our home.html here. Let's go to the Flowbyte again, and let's open the blocks. So in the box, it would allow us to be able to have this UI component, which is for the hero section. Let's choose that one. And then this will be the default hero section here. What we want to have is this second one here, which would display to us this heading, and then we have an image on the side of it. So let's use that. Let's show our code, and then we're going to copy this code here. We're going to paste it inside of this block content. So this would be the content of the home.html. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a URL that would push the user into this page whenever we enter a certain URL. So to do that, we're going to select the core folder, and then we're going to create here another file, which would be named urls.py. So in this urls.py, it would handle all of the routing for the core app. So to do that, let us first add here, so from Django.urls, and then we're going to import the path. Next is we're going to create an app name for this one. Let's say the app name is core. So that is the app name, same as this one. So we're going to use this app name whenever we want to access a page that belongs to this core app. So then the next one would be we're going to create the URL patterns variable, and then we're going to set it to an empty for now. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to register this urls.py. So whenever the user want to access a page that belongs to the core app, we're going to call the urls.py, and the urls.py in the core app would decide on which page it would want to display based on the parameters that is given by the user. So let's go to the core or the Django recipe app urls.py, and then we're going to register the urls.py that comes from the core app. So to do that, we are going to add here the include and then call the path and add here an empty string. So that would mean that whenever the user don't add anything, so that be empty, the core app would be called, and the URLs from the core app would decide on which page it would going to push the user to. So let us add here the include, and then inside the include we will add the name of the app. So let's say core, then we're going to access the URLs file, so core.urls. Just going to add a comma here at the end. So that is how you can register your URL. And then let's go back to the course app, and in here we can now go to the views.py. So we are now going to create our first view function. So this view function would need a name. So let's create the home view function. So it would take request parameter, and then it would return, and it would render a specific page. So request, and then we would call the page, which would be core, the folder, and then slash, and that would be home.html. And then we're going to add here a comma. So inside of this one, we're going to add the title. So as you can see here, we have the variable title here. That is what we want to display as the title of this page. So let's go to the views, and then here we're going to add the title, and the title would be set to home. And then we're going to create a URL for this view function. So to do that, let's go to the URLs page, and then we're going to call the path, and then the path would be just an empty string for now, and then we're going to call the views. So before we will be able to call that, let us first import the views file. So from dot, we're going to import the views. So the dot means the current folder, which is the core. Then we're going to import the views, so coming from this one, and then we can now call the views, and then dot, you will see here the view function that we created, which is the home, and then we're going to add here a name. So the name would be used to be able to call this URL. So that would be it. So what we did is, whenever the user don't have here a URL, so they first open the page, so they don't add any URLs yet, so it would call, or it would pass the decision to the core app, and then the core app would call the URLs. So the URLs would now choose. Whenever the user don't add anything to the path, then we're going to call the views home. So let's try that out. Let us now clear this, and let us run our app, python manage.py, run server. So after it runs, it don't show any errors. Let's click this, and then let's go to our browser, and as you can see here, this is now the home page. As you can see, we don't add anything yet, so it will be empty for the URL, and then it would display this page that we have here. So as you can see, this is the content that we copied here. So let's just show the preview. This would be the content of the home page, and then we extended the base.html to the home page. So this home page is extended from the base.html, and the content of the base.html here is a navigation bar. So this would be the top part right here, and then we extended here. We added the content from the home here on this part. So what we would see is a navigation bar first before the content of the home page that we have here. So as you can see on our page, we have the navigation bar on the top, and then the contents of the home page. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of change the content of this home page to what we like. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the heading here. So let's go to our home page. Let's change this heading we have here to different content. Say flavor finder. I'm going to add a name to it. Let's say, for example, a catchphrase: exploring taste, uniting foodies. Go. Then we're going to add here a kind of a long catchphrase under it. Say discover culinary delights and connect with fellow food enthusiasts. Share your favorite recipes. Explore new flavors and embark on a delicious journey together. So first we now see this part right here. Now I think the first thing that you would see here is that all of this is white. So as you can see here in this section, you will see that we have here the color. So BG white, and then the dark is BG gray. So in this portion that we have here, we are not in dark mode in this browser, so it would select the first one, which is BG white. And then if we ever want to have a functionality wherein it can change to dark mode, it would use this specific color that we have here. So for example, let's delete this part, and we would see here that the background is now dark. Let me just return that to back where it is, and then we're going to change this part. Let's say, for example, we're going to change this speak to sales to a different one. Let's say login here. So you have a button here, and we cannot see yet the content of the page because it is now set to black or to white, and let's change that in the future. So for now, we want to be able to see here the home page and maybe change this image that we have here. So let's first create our login and register page, and then we're going to change the images for each of the page that we created. That will be on the next section. Okay, welcome back. So now we're going to create our login page. So for our login page, again, here we are going to create another page. I like to name my login page signin.html. So after we created that, we're just going to kind of copy the contents that we have here for our base.html so that we don't have to type too much, but we still have to edit this. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to first create the views here. So for the views, we are going to name it sign in. So def sign in, and then this would take the request parameter, and then here we're going to return, we're going to render request, we're going to pass here the core slash and then the name of our page, which is the signin.html, and then comma, and then here we're going to pass the title. So title in this part would be sign in, that one. And then after you create the view function, you will now create the URL path. So path, and we're going to add here the path that we want. So let's say sign in, then we're going to call the views dot, and then you can now access here the sign in. So let's check first on what we added here as the name. So that would be sign in here. So let's go back here, and then let's check why it's not showing. So the reason why it's not showing is because we don't add a comma here at the end. So let's add first a comma. So if it turns yellow, so it's now connected, so you can click it and we'll push you back here, sign in. And then we're going to add a name here, and for the name, that would be sign in, just like that. Now we created a view function for sign in. It doesn't have any functionality yet. We just focus on displaying this sign in page that we see here. So if we go back to our page, and let's type here slash, then we need to add the sign in. So as you can see here, we are now in the sign in page. Let us try to change this to a different content so that maybe we can see it more clearly. So let's go ahead and create or use the component for the form sign in. Let's go to docs, then let's search here for card, CSS cards, and then if you scroll down, you will see here a card that we can use for the sign in page. Let's just wait for it to load. You will have a card here with forms. You can click this button here, then we can copy this code. Let's go back to our page. So as you can see, this part here will be the content we have here. That is what we want to change. So we want to try to paste in this code here, and as you can see, it would show us this page here. Then let's try to format this so that it would look nicer for our page. There you go. One more. Oh, let's put that back in. Okay. So, okay, and then let's go back. See this one. As you can see, it's not stretching all the way. It's not taking the whole space. So what we can do is we can first we want to remove the max width of this form here. So as you can see, the max width is SM, or the smallest size of the screen. So let's try to remove that, and after we remove that, we can try to remove this MR auto. So what this does is create a margin for the right side, this here, so that this form have a space from this image. We can remove that, and what we will see is the form is now placed on the center, because here we have placed the cell center. Let's try to remove that again. And if we refresh, now we take the full width of this left side of the web page. Now what we can do is we can try to add functionality to this one, but first we can remove this remember me, because we will not use it. So this part right here will be the flex. For that, we can remove this altogether, so we're not going to use it. So now this would be the look for our sign in page. Now after we create our sign in page, let us now try to connect the home to sign in. So as you can see here, we have this login here. We can try to connect it to that one, to this sign in page that we have here. So to do that, let's go back first to our URLs. So as you can see, we have here the core, and then we have the name. So we will use that to be able to jump to the next page, or to the sign in page. This name here and then the app name is really important. So let's go to the home, and as you can see here, we have an anchor tag. So what we can do is first we can add here a curly braces, and then we will pass in a percent sign, and add here the URL, and then inside of the quotation marks, we're going to put here first the name of the app, which is core. Then we will add here the name of the URL that we added here, which is the sign in, like this one. So what we will do is add here sign in. Then let's try to refresh and click. We are now in the sign in page. We are now successfully connected to the next page. Now this would be the look for our sign in. What we're going to do now is we're going to try and create the sign up or the register page, and let's connect it. Before that, let us first connect this login to this one, this button right here. Let's go to the base, and then here we're going to see that we have this login, and then we're going to change it to what we did here. Just going to copy it to save us time. So let's paste it here, refresh, and let's go first to the home, and then let's go log in. Okay, that works out well. Then the next thing we're going to do is kind of show what is in this part right here. So let's go to the home, and as you can see, we have this get started here that is not showing up because the text color is white, just like in this one right here. So let's change that to a different color. Let's say, for example, 900. Okay, so it's now visible and showing. However, what we want is whenever we are in the dark mode, we want to change this to a different color that is more visible in the dark. So dark, then let's change it to a different color. Let's say text, let's say white, so that whenever we visit this page on a dark mode, it would be white. So it's now showing up. We can now see the login page that we have here. Then we're going to try and build the register page. Okay, for this section, we're going now to create the sign up page. So first, I'm going to duplicate this page that we have here for sign up. Just going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it so that we can retain all of the design that we created. So I'm going to change this to sign up, and then I'm going to edit the contents of the sign up page that we have here. So for the sign up page, so sign up form, and then here what we're going to check first is our database here, DBSQLite3. So when you go to auth_user, you would see here the fields for each of the users. So for example, here we have the ID and the password. This will be the password of the user, the last time the user logged in, and you can see here the username, last name, email, and then we also have here the first name. So the fields that we want when we register a user, so the first name would be the first name, and then the last name, and also the email and the username. So after the email and the username, we want to be able to get the password of the user and also a confirmed password. So what we're going to do here is close this Explorer, and then we have now here the email. So the first thing that we're going to do is create another one for the username. So we're just going to select this. We're going to turn it to text, and then select all of this, and we're going to change this to username, and then add here your username. Just going to save that and check it on our website. So we won't be able to see it yet because we still don't have the view function and the URLs for this one. So after we created the username and email, we're now going to create one for our first name and last name. So for both of those names, the type is text. So I'm just going to edit the name here and the ID. So let's say, for example, the first one would be first name. So that would be first, then underscore, then name. So as you can see here, we created another name for the first name here that is separated by underscore. Then we're going to copy that, or maybe what we can do is delete this part right here, and then copy this and create one for the last name. So I'm just going to change here, first name, all the first, let's select that, and then we're going to change this to last name. Then last name would be changing this part. So your first name and last name. So you can see here. So you have the username and your email, and then we're going to create another one for the password. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Just going to make sure that we copied also the div. Okay, deleted that by accident. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to change the name that we have here. Type is also for password, but we want to change this name that we have here to, for example, confirm password. And then what you're going to do here is you're going to change the name of this one. So that would be confirm password. The password, then confirm password. So after that, let's try to create a view for this sign up. So just going to copy this, and then just put it at the bottom, changes to sign up, and changes to sign up also, and then here sign up. Okay, and then we're going to now create the views. Just going to copy this and add a comma and sign up here. Changes to sign up. Okay, and now let's go back to our base.html, and let's try to change this so that we will have a connection to the sign up page. And save it. Let's go to login. Shows this part. Register. It shows this part right here. So we can also change the placeholders that we use for each one, so that we can have a more beautiful input box. So for email, the placeholder would be the email, of course. So for password, the password only. So let's just say here, this would be the first name. So let's say John, and then the last name, that would be Doe. Then the username, let's say John Doe. The email would be John crypto.gmail.com. Let's save that and go back. So there you go. You now have placeholders for each of your input text. Next thing we're going to do is add here the link of the register page. So you can add that here to create an account. So this is sign up to log in. So log in. So we're going to paste the core again to sign in here. Then if you go that route, push this to this part. Let's copy this and connect it to the sign in page that we have. So let's go here, then not registered. So you're going to create an account. So click this. Let me see if we can click this. It's now currently loading. Oh, let's go back here. So I'm just going to go back there. Click sign in. So let's see. So we have this create account here, and when we click it, doesn't return to anything because I see we didn't change this part right here. So let's change it to sign up. So if we click, we go to sign up. If we click login, we go to the login page that we have here. I guess it's also worked on this part right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we now have the sign in and sign up page. On the next part, we are going to create the functionality to be able to register the user. We are now going to make this sign up functionality work. So we'll try to allow the users to be able to sign up to our platform. So the first thing that we're going to do is in this class right here, in this action, we're going to set this to a dot, and then you're going to set the method to post. Now for each form, you should add here the CSRF token. So this would be used for whenever we are submitting our form. And then after that, let's go to our views.py. So we now have the CRF token here. Let's go to our views.py. So as you can see here, the only thing that we are doing is we are displaying the sign up page, but we don't know yet how to handle when a post request was made. So to do that, we're now going to first create if the request method is equal to post. So whenever the user submits the form, what we're going to do is first we are going to get all of the information from the form that is sent. So the name here will be used. So this first name that we have here, last name, username, email, and password and confirm password will now have their data, and we will retrieve that data. So first create a variable that will store it. So that will be the first name, and then from the request get the post and the name of each of these fields. So for example, this first one, the first name, copy that and add it in this view. So it is also a good practice that you have the same name for this one. So again, request that post. Now we're going to get the last name. So copy and pasting it is also a good idea, because most of the time, if you ever have made a syntax error, not copying it might result to bugs in the future that will be a little bit hard to find, and you will know that the error comes from a name that is not the same. So in this one right here, we have the name. We're going to get the name, and then put it inside of this square brackets, and of course we're going to put it inside of a variable user name right here, and then the last two would be the password and confirm password that we request post in square brackets. And I'm just going to copy this to save time. Select this one. Then we're going to add here two things. That would be the password. So password here. And then the next one we're going to add is confirm password. So this one, set first the equal sign, a space, add here confirm password. As you can see here. Now after we retrieve all of the data, what we're going to do is first check if password and confirm password match. So let's first check password is equal to confirm password. So if they are equal, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on to the next if-else statement. But if in a scenario wherein it's not the same, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to return first to return and redirect to the sign up page, meaning we're not sending the form yet. So what we're going to do is on the top we have render, and we're going to add here redirect. So return redirect, and let's set the name of the app, which is score, then sign up. So what we're basically doing here is just returning or refreshing the page whenever the password and confirm password is not the same. So we're going to add here a message. So maybe let's print here a message on our console. The passwords don't match. We're going to change this to double quotes so that it would allow the single quotes to be inside of that message. So after that, we are now if ever the password and confirm password match, we are now going to check if the email that is used is the same, or if the email exists already. So I just noticed here that we haven't retrieved the email from the sign up that we have here, so we're going to do that now. Request post, and then we'll retrieve the email of the user, and then of course we're going to store it inside of a variable called email we have here. Then we're going to check if this email already exists in the database. So let's remove this pass, and then we're going to add here if we're going to get the data from the user model. So first we need to import the user model. So let's go up here, and then from Django contrib and auth and models, we can get or import the user model. So in the user model, you can check if a certain email is already used. So user objects, and then we're going to filter if the email that we have is also equal to the email, meaning the email already exists, and then we're going to say here exist. So if this is true, of course we will pass or we will redirect. So for now, let's pass, but we will add here the redirect to the homepage, and also we will print something on the terminal, just like this one. Sign up, and let's say here this email is already taken, just like this one. And then here what we can do is use the lf command, and then if the email doesn't exist yet, let's check if the username exists already. So filter, and to change this to username, just like that one. And if that username already exists, we're going to redirect again. So for this one, the message that we will add here, so this username is already taken, just like that one. And then the last one is an else statement. So meaning by using this conditional statements we have here, we are now sure that this information is not yet on the database, so we won't have any duplicate data. So what we can do here is we are going to create the specific user that we have. So first we're going to call the user model, and then we're going to call the objects, and we're going to use the create user method. So the create user method will create the user. So as you can see here in our model, this auth user here, we have here the first name, last name, just like we saw earlier. So we're going to add it here. So the first name would be equal to the first name that we have right here, and then the last name would also be equal to the last name that we have right here, and then the username would also be equal to the username that we have, and so on. So the email, and then the password would be set to the password, just like this one. And then after that, what we're going to do is we are going to put it inside of a variable. So let's name that variable new user. So inside of this variable, we're now going to save this new user to the user model. Then after we save the model, we are now going to log in this user that created the account. So to do that, we're going to add here the auth. So I believe that is auth on the top besides the user, and then we're going to add here a comment. So let's say log the user in using the credentials. So after the user creates his or her account, we will now log in the user. So to do that, let's call the auth and then authenticate. So you're going to authenticate the name and also the username, and also the password. So after authenticate the password, we will now put the result to the user credentials, just like that one, and then we are going to use the auth to log in. So the request, and then we're going to pass here the user credentials, just like this one. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a profile object for the new user. We don't have that object yet, or the model for it, and also the app. So for now, what we are going to do is we are going to maybe still redirect it, but to homepage, so that it would signify that this user is already created. So let's say first we're going to print something. Let's print here that the account is successfully created. Account created successfully. Let's try to welcome to our community here. So after you sign up, we're going to be redirected to the home page. Again, the home here is what we added here as the name. So core and then home, besides the semicolon that the column that we created. So account is created successfully, and the website is now welcoming us to the website. So let's try this out. So after let's just check for now. We just pulled all of the details or the information of the user from the form. So we already added the CSRF token. And the next thing we do is confirm if the password is equal to the confirmed password. And then we filter if the user email and username already exist before we create the user and log in the user using the credentials. So let's try this out. Let's go to our sign up page. So the first thing that we're going to add here is the name. So we say John Doe, then add John Doe here, and also the email John Doe. So John Doe at gmail.com. Then maybe add the password here. So let me just type it again, so I'm sure that it is correct. And I'm going to log in. So after that, it pushes me to the home page. Maybe that means that we have now successfully created this user. So let's check here if that prints something. So it shows here the account is created successfully, and it welcomes us to the community. So let's try to check the database if it's created successfully. So the auth user, so we now have this user which has the username of John Doe and the last name of Doe, email, and the first name. So we now successfully created the register functionality of this website. So the users can now register and they can log in after they register. So we're going to update this part wherein we're just printing an error, something on the terminal whenever we log in or we sign up. So we're going to add a message on our page whenever we do that. but that would be on another section of this video. So maybe for the next part, we are going to make the sign-in functionality work. For this section, what we're going to try to do is to be able to create the sign-in functionality. So let's go back first in this sign-in form that we have here. And when we are signing in, what we're going to use is the username, not the email. So as you can see here in our current sign-in page, we can see the email. Let's add it here. So we're going to edit that. So for the email, let's just remove this. Let's change this for the username. And for this one, the type would be just text. After that, you're going to add here your username. So after that, let's check the page. It shows here your username. However, the placeholder is not yet fixed. So I'm just going to remove this placeholder. Let's set this to a username. So John, just like that one. And it returns to John Doe now. And then, just like what we did in sign up, we were going to set the CSRF token under the form. So go here and then under the form, I'm going to add here the CSRF token. And then in the action, let's set this to a dot. And let's set the method to post, just like this one. And then after that, we will now go back to our sign-in page or sign-in functionality or view function. In this view function, we're just displaying the sign-in.html page that we have. So if we want to add a functionality to check if the request method is to post, just like in this one. So if request.method is equal to post, we're going to retrieve the username and the password. So again, request dot post square brackets, and then you're going to retrieve the username, and then you're going to put it inside of a variable username, just like this one. And you can just copy it, or you can also copy this on the bottom, just like that one. And then you're going to authenticate this. So auth.authenticate, and then we're going to pass the username to be the username that we retrieve from the input, and the password would be the password that is also entered by the website user. Password, there we go. And then we're going to put it inside of a variable called user, and then we're going to check if the user that we created, the variable, is not none, meaning here we have authenticated the credentials. So back in here, authenticated the credentials means that whatever the user inputs in these input boxes, or what we retrieve from the form, matches a account that we have on our database. So here we're just going to pass for now, and then we're going to add else. So else meaning we have no match, so that would be no backend authenticated the credentials. So let's add it here, no can authenticate the credentials, and then for now let's say pass. So now let's update. Whenever we have a matching credentials, we're going to first auth.login. We're going to log in the user. We're going to pass here the request and then the user. After we log in, we're going to return and we're going to redirect. Let's say, for example, just like what we did on the sign up, we redirected to home. So we don't have any other page yet. So we have the home page. So whenever a backend authenticated our credentials, we log in, and after we log in, we redirect to the home page. Maybe let's just print a message here so that we can also confirm. Let's say login successful, and then welcome back. Like that one. And then whenever the user or the information that the user give in the form doesn't match any accounts on our database, therefore what we will do is we will just return them to the sign in. Let's remove the pass here. Let's return that to sign in. Then maybe let's also give this a print message. Maybe let's say, just going to delete this message. Let's say invalid credentials. Please check your username and password. Like that one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test this out. So as you can see here, we are in the sign-in page. Let's say, for example, we add here an info that is not on the database, we're sure. So we click login, and then it's just redirecting us to the sign-in. If we use an existing account, let's log in, we are redirected to the home. So we can also see that here. So login successful, welcome back. So we now successfully created our sign-in functionality. So on the next part, we are going to make this a little bit more appealing. Let's change the images here by using other free images, and then maybe we can move on to the next app that we have, or maybe create the sign out functionality before we update the images that we have here. So see you on the next section. Okay, so in this section of the video, we're going to create our sign out functionality. So first, we're going to check here in our base.html. We are displaying here a single navigation bar. That is what we can see here. So the first thing that we want to do is, let's first try to check if the user is authenticated. So let's say maybe when the user is authenticated, let us remove the navigation bar, so we won't have any navigation bar. So what we can do is use an if statement here using the curly brackets and then percent signs. Let's say if the user is currently not logged in, so to do that, if request and then dot user and then dot is authenticated. So request dot user dot is underscore authenticated, just like this one. And then if the user is authenticated, we're not going to display anything, so we're just going to leave it empty for now, and then we're going to add here the else clause. So else, if the user is not authenticated, we will display this part. So let's now add here an end if to close this if statement. Okay, so let's go back to our page and refresh. As you can see, we don't have any navigation bar for now because the user is currently authenticated. Now, let's say we want to add a navigation bar that have a different design whenever the user is authenticated. So let's go to our tailwind here. Let's say we want this kind of design whenever the user is authenticated, so that we'll have an image, then we'll have the name and also sign out button right here. So let's copy this, and then we're going to paste it inside of this if statement here, or the if block, and then we're going to copy this and indent it so that it would look a little bit more cleaner. Just scroll down, and then here, let's see, this would be displayed. So currently the user is authenticated, and then we want to be able to remove some of this li tags here, so we don't need it. So let's just remove it until the about, I guess. So as you can see here, so we're not going to include the about, just going to remove it here. Okay, so what I want to do now is to be able to create a sign out functionality when you want to sign out. So let's just create here another view function, def, that would be sign out, and in this sign out function it would receive a parameter called the request. So it would be the argument for this first parameter, and then auth.log out. So we're logged out now, and then we're going to pass here the request, and also we want to print a simple message, say log out successful, and then have a great day. That one. Then let's return and redirect to a specific page. Let's say core sign in, and then in the URLs we're going to add here a sign out, just like this one. Just changes to sign out, just like that one. And then what we want to do is to be able to call it using the base. So whenever we want to call a base or a, here we have the sign out, we're going to select the first one, that would be the URL, and then we're going to pass here the app name, that would be core, and then a core, we're going to access the sign out view function. So whenever we sign out, you can now see it changes to a different navigation bar, and if we sign in, now he will have a different navigation bar. So that will be all for this portion of the project that we're building, which is the recipe app using Django, Tailwind CSS, and Flowbyte. So we now successfully built the sign in, sign up, and sign out functionality of our website. So in the next section, we're going to try to update the images so that we can have more design, and let's try to create the profile model.